So Super Ben Foster is not in goal. Bit of a shock, I think. So we're just going to do some quick reaction now. We were sort of questioning it over the weekend, thinking, does he lose his place? He's got one better than that, hasn't he, Tim? What's your instant reaction?
We're not taking any responsibility for it, but yeah, we
Oh,
did.
yeah, it's not on us.
Uh, he's just really kind of mirrored what we were thinking anyway. Is that it hasn't been good enough. It wasn't a case of making an scapegoat. You just kind of think that it just wasn't dropping for him. It wasn't right. It just wasn't working out. So it's a big call to make. It's the right call to make, I think. Um, and yeah, it has come slightly out of the blue, given the fact that we've got a full week before the next game. But he's kind of made the decision now, and it's probably it takes some guts to do it because he could have. I just said it before. I just tweeted. He could have just stayed in denial about it, but it takes model pros to make those big decisions. And more often than not, they get it right. He's a big character, big personality. He's made the best decision for the better of everybody, not just himself, but for the club. It frees up a big part of the wage bill, etc., etc. He's not one for sentiment, is he? So I just think it's the right call at the right time. And I think the reason he stayed on was probably the head ruled the heart. The
Yeah,
heart ruled the head. Sorry, the heart ruled the head. He was sort of caught up in that sort of that tidal wave of feel good emotion and the whole thing of helping us get over the line. And that was already in his head. He said that's I'm staying, and it just hasn't panned out. So, and now he's gone the other way, and his heart his head is ruling his heart. So let's get this back to front. So his head is now ruling his heart, and you have to take your hat off to him.
yeah. Look, before we get into the whys and wherefores of whether he should have signed a deal in the first place, first off, thank you, Ben, because
Yeah,
you came in, you've given us some great moments. No one will ever forget that penalty save last season. You were vital in matches like Barnet away, where you were superb, and thank you for getting us over the line. Now, also, you're a good bloke. I mean, we can tell that by from the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, I spoke to Ben the back end of last season just once, and then I saw him in America, and he came over and fist pumped me. He actually remembered me, and
yeah.
that sort of, he seems like a really really nice fella. And with that in mind, at his age and with his career, why should he take criticism for his performances? He doesn't need to. And I would imagine conceding all that amount of goals in the start of the season, he's sort of thinking, I don't want to tarnish a legacy here. And he sort of thought, well, it's probably best that I move on. And, good luck to him. Thank you for everything. And thank you for probably getting out at the right time, because the last thing we want to do is make a difficult decision where we have to drop an ex-England international who's been so good for us in the last season. So you've taken that decision out of our hands, and that's the measure of the man, really. I think before we sort of get into the whys and wherefores about him signing on, where would you go now, Tim? Would you go straight to Mark Howard, or would you look to sign another keeper?
Well, how many keepers do we need? I mean,
I've only got 10 fingers, mate. Right, okay. So at the
I,
moment, we've got Mark
I,
Howard.
I don't see how you can't look beyond Mark Howard at this point. At this point, at this moment, is he the long term solution
No.
for the entire season? No. In the short term, yes. He's got a clean sheet under his belt from the Wigan game. That will do his confidence no harm at all. And you know what? He's good mates with Foster. Foster will throw his weight behind him, as we would expect, and he'll just say, "Look, just jump in there, do what you do." There's a reason that he came from Carlisle to us as their player of the season. He's had a couple of hairy moments. Unfortunately, it's annoying that keepers kind of do get that those moments seem to be more remembered than
They're
away.
magnified, aren't they? They're magnified
Yeah,
because it's
I,
happening
I
right in front of fans. So fans, it's like if a defender makes a mistake and then in two moves down the line there's a goal, that's one thing. But a keeper making a mistake is right in front and it's very memorable.
I think because of the whole situation with the National League and the setup and the way it was and the scramble for that top spot, everything was like crucial. Every minor detail. If you cocked up, that was it. You're out your ass. We saw it with Dibble. Dibble was assassinated, and by his own admission, he crumbled. There was that period, I think, Notts County way, and there's about 6 or 7 games in a row. It was just clanger after clanger after clanger, and there was no escaping that. And it just the domino effect from that was horrible. I don't think we're going to get that out with Howard. I think he is a safe pair of hands. I think he will bring. He knows that defense. He knows that defense anyway. So for me, at this stage, it's kind of a seamless transition for him to go back in there. He knows the people in front of him. They know him. Unless we see something in one of these the younger lads that we've signed, I don't see how Parky can go anywhere else for this at the moment. We're shipping goals left, right, and centre. You need experience. As much as we've had that with Foster, it's not quite worked out. People will say, well, Mark Howard's not exactly getting on he's getting on in years as well, isn't he? But I think at this juncture, you just slot him in just for that sort of slight consistency and just to keep things a little bit more calm at the back, which is what we need at the moment.
Let's do a roll call of keepers. So we've got Mark Howard, who is fit and available. We've got Rob Layton, who we think is injured. And I don't know if anyone's got an ETA on him. Apart from that, we've got the young Irish lad. Is he McNicholas, Tim?
Luke McNicholas, I think.
Yeah. And then we've got the even younger lad, Lewis Hall. Is it
Lewis or Lee? Lewis, I can't remember. I thought you checked this beforehand because, like,
no, I mean, these keepers are so.
Minutes to check this.
Well, the thing is, that sort of, if we can't even call their name, they're not going to come in and be number one, are they? So we've got those available. We're probably going to go with Mark Howard. I do wonder if Ben Foster has left before the end of the transfer window, which frees up a place in the squad, and it maybe allows us to bring someone in. And
like Danny Ward.
Well, I mean, yeah, that would be great, but I think we're about one league too low at least for Danny Ward at the moment. We have been looking for that 25-year-old keeper who can grow with the club. Now, Parky might think that's the Irish lad. He might think that's McNicholas, but I think it gives us an ideal opportunity to bring in a keeper not at the end of his career, and maybe allow him to go through the leagues and grow with Wrexham. Now, we brought back in Andy Foley-Jones, who was on the podcast yesterday, who we talked about this, so it's only right that we do a full circle. Andy, you were quite non-committal on Mark Howard yesterday. I didn't think you really had a sort of a good idea of where we should play or not. Has that changed at all?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? I got in at 4 o'clock this morning and then saw a few rumours going around, and no, I had a nightmare that Mark Howard was going to be first choice, and I think it is a nightmare, isn't it?
Is it that much of a nightmare?
I think at the moment he's got to go back in, hasn't he? Who did he play? Was it Wigan game Howard played?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he kept a clean sheet.
So yeah, I think he slips back in and see how he gets on. But at least we've got those other lads in the building now, haven't we? Who was the Sligo guy?
That's McNicholas. Yeah, I don't know anything about him other than he's one for the future, and he's one for the future. But we need a keeper now. So I think out of the two, it's got to be Howard.
Yeah, I would agree. Howard straight in. Who would be on the bench then?
It would be McNicholas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're well covered. You've got another keeper in background as well. You can use the loan system, but I think if you're going to bring the loan system, it's got to be for a first choice keeper, or otherwise, what's the point? There's no point bringing someone in and having him on the bench. Also, Parky said it a lot of times. We don't need to use the loan system. We've got money to go and buy someone and try and nail a position. Just before we sort of sum it up a little bit, I just want to ask you guys what you think about the decision in the first place to give him a contract. Look, we were all on a high last season. We all remember the Notts County game. We all sort of know what he brings to the club, as in personality wise, as in profile. Obviously the two owners fell in love with him. He's a very personable guy. But really and truly, should he have been offered a deal at the end of last season? He came in to do a very specific job, which was to end his retirement, come in and travel in from Warwickshire each day and help us through. And it was a lovely full circle of his career where he sort of really made his name with us. But hand on heart, Tim, should we have given him a deal for this season, knowing that it's such a slog to go through a League Two campaign, and there's so many games.
No, and I think at the time I was like, if he stays, great. If he doesn't, it doesn't really matter. We're in a place now where we've done what we set out to do. We've got promoted. If we look elsewhere, great. If we get one of the other guys to come back full fitness, then great. So the cynic in me says, was he kept on from a commercial aspect? Because obviously the Man United game was already penciled in. Obviously, as an ex-Man United player, loads of fans will be there. So, oh right, Foster's there as well.
You don't give him a new deal for a pre-season friendly.
Yeah, but even so, even though there is commercial value in him, that's a fact. Should they have given one? It's easy to sit here now and say no, isn't it? But look, ultimately, he came in. He did a job. He did what he kind of set out to do. Again, it wasn't. He didn't exactly pull up trees. He didn't keep a vast amount of clean sheets. But he stood up and counted when it really, really mattered, and that's what he'll be remembered for. But it's by the by now, isn't it? Ultimately, I would like to think he's the sort of person that I don't think that we would pay up a contract. He'll probably I imagine there'd be a gentleman's agreement that says,
"Oh, definitely."
I've only been here for 4 games.
Yeah.
I don't want anything. We'll just leave it at that. Thanks very much. See you later. Take care. If I get to come back at the club in some capacity or another later down the track, then great. If I get to do some filming at the club, then great. Brilliant. It's worked out for everybody involved at this stage. Go to Barrow and ship another 5 or 6 goals, and all of a sudden, you just never know. But
he doesn't deserve that, does he? He doesn't deserve us as fans getting on his back, does he, Andy?
No, and like I said it. Sorry, I'll bring Andy in now. For me, I was just like, it felt weird this week because it's 2 weeks in a row that we've been whinging about something, which is it's really strange, uncharted territory for us because we've had it so good for the last few years. But good luck to him.
Yeah, just broadening it out, Andy, should he have signed a new deal? And now he has, it's the right time for him to go, really, isn't it? Because the last thing we want is resentment on our side.
No, I think you've got to give him enormous credit, haven't you, to identify that he's reached a point where he doesn't think he can give a performance that he needs to give, and that must be an incredibly difficult thing to do. And I think give him enormous credit. I know we talked yesterday about we were quite critical. I felt a bit bad this morning when I saw the news, and when we were having a little bit of a dig at him yesterday about how
he cited you in his goodbye video. He said, whoever that Specky fella was, well, tell him that I'm going to shove a goalkeeping glove where the sun don't shine.
Sideways.
I was hoping he was going to do a plug for the book as well, and I think that's gone, isn't it?
A little bit of
the annoying thing is,
go on, Andy.
But Tim, we talked about it yesterday, didn't we? There was a weird physicality to. We talked about Howard and the way he dived and the way he seemed to take a long time to get down to make simple saves, and it seemed some of those things were happening with Foster this season so far. And maybe there is just a time everyone thinks that goalkeepers can go forever. It's a little bit of a myth. They can obviously play older than outfield players, but there is still that physicality and it's such a it's such a narrow thing what they do, isn't it? You know, they have to get down quickly. They have to react. It's all about reaction speed. And with hindsight, I was really excited when he re-signed, and it's easy to kind of slag the decision off now. But we're all, as you just said, caught up in the euphoria of last season, and we all thought about the great things which he did. And he was such a great bloke. He's such a charismatic guy, and all the GoPro stuff. We said yesterday again, the GoPro stuff. You know, that's not happening, and it's maybe.
Oh.
He's made the right decision. I think he's given us a bit of time to find somebody new if we need somebody new. We've got all these other players coming in, so they obviously knew he wasn't going to last forever, didn't they? That's why they've been getting all these players in to have a look at.
Yeah, I just think the acceleration.
You know, how they.
I think the acceleration of them bringing these players in, they didn't expect this fella to be involved so quickly. And I think that's probably caught them a little bit by surprise. I just want to leave one of the last words to Ben Foster, because he's just done a little bit on his Instagram. I'm just going to share the screen and play this in a little bit.
You want some Twitter reactions as well in a minute?
Yeah, bear with me a little bit. I'm just going to come that. Hopefully you can see this.
Hello Wrexham fans, it's Ben Foster here. I just wanted to let you all know that I've decided to retire from professional football. Yeah, I know again, but I think the timing's right. I feel sometimes you just got to be honest with yourself, brutally honest with yourself, and just admit that you can't really do what you used to do, and it's a shame. But I think being 40 years old, it's kind of expected as well. I feel like there's probably been about 4 or 5 goals already this season that I should be saving. You know, it's weird because goals are going in and I'm thinking, you should have saved that. How haven't you saved that? And I think that's the reason why I'm retiring. You know, I just know I can't do what I used to do, and like I say, it's a shame, but that's the way it goes. It comes to us all. There's no shame in admitting that. But I do want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you fans, every one of my teammates, the owners, the coaching staff, the manager. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an honour. We'll always have that 96-minute Notts County penalty save that will live long in my memories. Genuinely, one of my top 3.
I mean, yeah, again, measure of the man. He's absolutely stood up and said what we've all been thinking, that, you know, he's looked at it himself and he knows that he can't do it to the level that he wants to. And, you know, good luck to him. Tim, has there been much Twitter reaction? I would imagine there'd been a shit ton of Twitter reaction, to be honest.
But seeing as there was a last minute thing, I've only managed to jot down a few. So obviously Ryan Reynolds has put he built memories I'll never let go of for as long as I live. Cryptic put a brave call and a class statement from him. Kieran Evans, he was probably what did he say? Probably underestimated League Two and the quality and intensity of the division, myself included. Potentially, yes. I think one thing that we can take away from Foster retiring is that the blow's been softened by the fact he's previously retired, so he kind of knows what to expect. He kind of knows he can fall back into that groove of doing the things that keep him happy and healthy, the cycling, the golf, the content creation stuff. So he's got plenty to keep himself busy. It's not like he's going to be, kicking his heels, doing nothing and enjoying the kind of fruits of his labour. So he'll be fine. He'll come back in some capacity, whether as a guest, whether whatever, and he'll get a hero's reception. And I hope he does, because it'd be nice to give him that send off, which sounds a bit sentimental. Yeah, it's because the round of applause at the end of the game on Saturday was a collective thing for the entire team for the way they kind of dragged it back. So it'd be nice for him to get a good send off. You know, to start your career with a trophy at Wrexham, to end your career with a trophy at Wrexham. It's a quite neat full circle moment, and yeah, good luck to him. He deserves it. Every health and happiness to him.
Right, let's end with this. Where does Ben Foster rank in your top goalkeepers ever? Don't worry about how much they played, but just talent, what they brought to the club. Where does he rank? I'm going to go first. I think he sits just below Marriott for me. I know he hasn't got hundreds and hundreds of appearances, but for the pleasure I've had watching Ben Foster, and let's not forget, he's won a major trophy for us and he's got us promoted. That puts him number 2 in my list of all time. Andy?
Di Davis, Mike Cooper, Carrots, obviously, Maybe. Yeah, he's in the top 5, just behind Maybe.
Are you Brian Flynn? Because you've not got Marriott in there.
I forgot about Marriott. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, okay.
He was good. That's for
Right.
it's
maybe take Carrots out then, and we can put Ben Foster in.
Yeah, he's in the top 5, definitely.
Tim, where's he ranked for you?
Oh, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean, Marriott's my favourite Wrexham player, so I'm always going to plump for him first. If you're talking about just Wrexham, then I don't know. It's tough. Overall game, he has to be up there because of what he's achieved. But I got Marriott in there. I thought Chris Maxwell was brilliant for us. Foster for me, again, he's probably top 5 somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where, but he'll be top 5 purely on the basis that his first spell with us was great. Loved his first spell with us. So memorable, obviously LDV final. But the games before that as well, we played at Port Vale, and obviously he was on loan from Stoke at the time. So he was singing Delilah, and he was just loving it, absolutely loving it. And he had a storming game, and just a nice guy. He was quite shy at the time, so to see him come out of his shell and see how sort of, charismatic and sort of public facing as he is now, it's just nice to see. Nice guy, and nice guy that hasn't finished last. He's finished with a league titles medal. So
yeah, let's sum it up. Thank you again. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for everything, and we really appreciate it. Right, guys, I think we'll tie this up. Good to speak to you. Goodbye.
Cheers, lad.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Tim.
Cheers.